Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, the wildest mixed tag team in podcasting, where the kayfabe drops and the chaos takes over. Let's ring the damn bell.
Headlocks tight, heels on the prowl, dropping elbows, hearing growl, feel the foul. No script here, just real, no bluff. Kayfabe crack, now the dirt gets rough. Headlocks, heels, havoc in the zone. Stepping in the ring, chaos at your home. No filters, no mask, just raw, bare tone. Wrestling unscripted, we on the throne. Title belts, mic checks, crowd going crazy. Drop truth bombs, leaving lines feeling hazy. Beyond the kayfabe, past the charade, where legends are born and stories get made. Headlocks, stop it, who's hitting the mat? Welcome to the Havoc where the real talk's at. Tune in, step through, leave the fake at the door. Headlocks, heels, Havoc, now hear the roar.
Welcome to Headlocks, Heels, and Havoc, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am one half of the greatest tag team in podcasting, the legend J-Mac. With me, as always, is everybody's favorite uncle and the man that's always ready for a hot tag, Uncle Slam.
What's up, everybody?
Don't forget, before we get started and introduce you to our wonderful guest from Texas, before we get that going, go down, like, share, follow, and subscribe so that way we can keep bringing you great guests and great content every week. Tonight, guys, on the show from the great Lone Star State, we have Warhammer. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
We are alive another day, so I can't complain. And I know Uncle Slam ain't going to complain about that much either.
No,
so
sir. I'm warm, so I'm good.
That's it. I'm sitting here with a space heater on my feet as we talk.
Same. And then I have a little fan blowing the warm air on me. So
I'm glad somebody else does that too, because I got a fan behind the heater blowing the air around the room. Keeps the room from getting dried out too, honestly and truthfully. Lets the air circulate a little bit.
Great minds think alike. There you go.
That's right. You know, look, we went into a home improvement show instead of a wrestling podcast. What are we doing here?
you never know what you're going to learn with us.
You never know. Know.
True.
That's why it's important to tune in. And like I said before, it's important to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Not only us, but go to Mr. Warhammer's Facebook page, like his stuff, subscribe, follow. Go to all the companies he's involved with and like, share, subscribe, and follow them too. Speaking of the devil, would you like to tell us a little bit about the companies you work with, the titles you've held, currently hold, and all that good stuff? Let everybody here in Kentucky and around the world know about Warhammer.
No, absolutely. So I'm going to make a bold statement, but I'm going to kind of back that up. I'm one of the baddest men in all of East Texas. And when I say that, it's because I travel all of East Texas. I'm currently in Northeast Texas, but I travel to Southeast Texas quite often. We're also trying to break into West Texas. But
that's
right now,
2 states in and of itself.
pretty much. And I've also gone to Louisiana and Arkansas, hopefully taking over more states as well. But right now, my home promotion is League of Lions out of Marshall, Texas. Out of League of Lions, I've been the Untamed champion. I've been the tag team champion. And just a couple months ago, I lost the digital media title. So those are the 3 championships I've held with those guys. Moving south, there's Sadistic Wrestling Federation, where I was their Satsuma Valley heavyweight champion, where they billed me at 305, and I'm far from 305. And right now, current tag team champion with the Sons of Plunder, the Sadistic Wrestling Federation tag team champions. On top of that, I've worked for Warrior Wrestling Alliance out of Lufkin, Texas. I've worked for Southern Star Wrestling out of Port Neches, Texas. I've worked Elite Breakout Wrestling, which is kind of San Antonio area. I've also worked in MPX, which is Dallas. I've worked one show at Coliseo, which is, I don't know if you know the The loco shows, it's kind of big, crazy. They kind of do hardcore stuff. If it may just be a local thing, but worked one show there. And soon, in 2 weeks, I will be helping debut with a new company, Exist to Inspire Wrestling.
That's awesome.
So you're a busy man.
Yes.
I've got to schedule my weekends in advance. That is for sure.
I mean,
Why do you think Texas has such a rich wrestling history, or whatever, or just so deep in wrestling?
It's where it started. That's where it started. It's the South wrestling, Memphis South, Atlanta. These were the hotbeds. That's where it's where it started. One of the places. I'm not going to take it away from. There was some Oregon stuff. There was some East Coast stuff. But these were two hotbeds. So all of the South is just popping.
I was going to say that, the only two real promotions that I can think of, well, I don't even want to say promotions, territories that I can really think of that were popping as far as Northern Territories, American wise, was, New York and, AWA, Minnesota, or Minneapolis. I don't know why I said Minnesota, but up in that area, those were the only two really from the north. And like you said, there was some stuff going on out in Portland, but other than that, all the big promotions were across the Midwest and, the South. That's,
I'm going to put it right up there with football. We ain't got much to do.
I like that. Yeah.
Watch wrestling, watch some football.
That's it. That's it. That is it. So speaking of football, who you got in the Super Bowl? Let's start there.
I actually don't watch sports or TV.
He's a busy man. He don't have time for that. What are you talking about?
For real. He's too busy traveling.
Horrible but funny story. So when I got into wrestling, this was I started training 2017 at the late end. So 2018, they were asking me, "Hey, what's your gimmick?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be a Viking, so I don't have to shave." And they were like, "You mean like the Viking Raiders?" And they showed me all these Vikings, and I was like, No, I'm gonna have a big giant hammer." And they were like, "Oh, you mean like the Bludgeon Brothers?" And I was like, "No, I'm gonna put those together."
I'm gonna wear a kilt. Oh, you mean like the bar?
Oh, like Drew McIntyre. That was it.
Well, I'll put some paint on my face. Oh, you mean like...
I will give you this. I plan your gear and the placement of logos and things. So on my trunks, I have a hammer. It don't look like a hammer. It don't look like a hammer.
I think I know where this is going.
I'm the butt.
It's a hammer, but it ain't
And the dick
hammer.
of jokes. Yeah. It's Clifford's Big Red. Yeah. And okay, so another thing is I am always photographed from two different angles, and I can always, all my pictures, I can swipe through 100 pictures and I can show you. I'm either one getting kicked in the face and it's just straight up rocked, or it's my butt and it's like, oh, there's the hammer.
There's
There's the hammer.
There's the hammer or
Great pictures I'm making them look amazing, but why I gotta be rocked? Why are those two shots, like my butt or my face? Just
we can't show any other action pictures other than
this guy's good, but watch what he can do.
So let me ask you this. What era or what was it that drew you to professional wrestling, or even what wrestler, just whatever it was that drew you to professional wrestling.
Here's the spot. It was, here's some information. The Berserker. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Huss.
So, here's me just, I'm now him from there. So the Berserker versus Undertaker, right?
Okay.
I remember Undertaker laid up in the middle of the ring. Berserker climbs up the ring. He's got his sword. He jumps down, stabs the sword in the ring.
Yep.
I was like, oh, these are comic book heroes come to life and they're fighting for good and evil. And oh, I'm in the second grade. This is real. This is real life. And I'm sold. So it took a long time for me to understand it was predetermined.
That's it. But it's so that's what makes it so great, is when you can get lost in that magic. It's no more different, like we've said it 1,000 times on the show. Getting lost in a wrestling match and just, rooting and getting excited, or, whatever, or being like, oh, with the false finish or whatever. That is the same as sitting down and watching an emotional movie and crying. Sitting down and watching Scarface and being like, oh, get him, or whatever, it's the same exact thing. You got to suspend that disbelief.
And we get 10 minutes to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you're lucky sometimes.
That's, that's a long match for Warhammer.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, people don't realize, it's not only go out there and let's remember the match that we're going to try to pull off here, but let's also do it within this time frame. Do it, we've got to not only listen to each other's directions, we've got to listen to the referee's directions. We've got to listen to everything else going on around us, my partner, his partner, everything else. It is an art form that, there's a reason why only a select few go all the way to the top, because it's an art form that there's a reason why I don't see the people talking in the ring. But I know, as a fan and as a podcaster now, getting to see a little bit more of the insides of the business, I know they're talking the whole damn time.
Mm-hmm.
So doing everything safely on top of all that, like there's so many layers on that. So yes, you are correct. And I love just calling it in the ring, because hey, and then I'm calling something as and I've got the beard to even cover that. So like it's like when wrestlers have the long hair, it's something I can do to cover and be able to talk. But I'll tell you right before, but if you've been in the ring long enough, you can kind of know with the way I'm going to move your body, you already know what's coming. Fall on your back, fall on your face. That's really all you need to know.
Right. Fall as flat as you can and fall right. I see what you're saying,
I could essentially just say front bump and do something, and just you're going to land on your face.
Front bump, don't over rotate.
Yep.
I mean, so it's crazy though, that, and it's crazy how that is just it's so universal throughout the entire business. Doesn't matter if you're in the majors or working the independents or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's
the only thing I understand is True Lucha is on the right side. American is on the left side.
Really? I did not know that about True Lucha. They do everything to the right then.
Correct. So when we lock up, I do this. They lock up this.
Oh.
Okay.
So everything is reversed.
So the steps start with the right, and when they get up, it's to the right, and all that stuff.
Correct.
Okay, I did not know that. See, that's another reason why I like doing this show. I learn things every time.
I had heard that before.
Like I said earlier, you never know what you're going to learn.
Right.
The more you know.
So who would you say was so would you say the Berserker was your favorite wrestler that got you into it, or
It was that match. I don't remember seeing the Berserker much, but that's, kind of what sticks in my head when I pull all the, the
yeah,
Vikingness.
I don't
But
think John
it's got to be
Ford
the
was there much
Undertaker.
longer.
It's got to be the Undertaker. He's had the longest, most successful run, and he was one of the few I saw from that until just recently. Everybody
Right.
else kind of retires a long time. They get hurt, something happens. This man never changed his gimmick, never changed his name, and that was really what he was the inspiration for everything Warhammer. Because in my group, we've got Chris Preston, we've got Chris Grimes, we've got Ethan Daniel, we've got several names, right? Names. You got one Warhammer.
Right.
That sets me apart in my locker room, just in the name alone. You
Right.
know,
It's not, you're not doing what, like it's cool because I like the fact that a lot of people have went back to using their real names and stuff like that, or a variation of their name. But it's also cool that people have a name like yours that stands apart from
a true gimmick.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what if you're just a 2 and 3 name, okay, what makes you different from anybody else? I can tell you, you won't find Warhammer at Walmart. Warhammer doesn't live in America. He lives in Jotunheim. Okay. You don't even know how much he weighs. You don't know how tall he is, because I've planned all this out you have to think, you have to research, because he's a fictional character, just like all the comic book heroes and the true 80s wrestlers. You couldn't see them in normal places, but if you did, they were in character, in gimmick, and you met the $1 Million Man, you met Ric Flair, you met Andre the Giant, and they were just mountains of men.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's Undertaker is the reason and the cookie that I was trying to recreate.
Okay. See, and that's cool too, because it was like, even though you're trying to recreate that, live the gimmick, the full gimmick thing, not just use my name, blah, blah, blah. It's you didn't just go, okay, well, let me just steal his gimmick or borrow, the dead man type thing. You were like, let me mold mine after his by just molding mine after how he did it, not what he did.
Yes.
That's a cool tactic. I think a lot of people could learn from that to be able to. I think too many people think that if you look at somebody like that and one person like that, they're afraid of becoming that gimmick or getting, or whatever like that, like Damian Priest, or somebody like that. No, you don't have to be, a guy with a bunch of druids walking out to the ring every WrestleMania. But how did the Undertaker carry himself outside of the ring? How did he live that gimmick? How did this happen? Take those examples, not just put a hat on and a trench coat and call yourself a dead man.
Correct. He lived in Death Valley.
Right.
Yes, that is a real place, but I mean, that's just iconic for his character. I mean, come on, boom. So Jotunheim, very iconic. It's a real place, but it's also a realm of ice giants, so it blends the mold. Even going with, so we get called the dollar store Viking Raiders and Timu Raiders and all that stuff, because I'm a Viking. My tag team partner is his gimmick is actual dwarven, like Lord of the Rings dwarven, not a small person. So now it works because we're dressed in fur. He's got a giant hammer. We're drinking from horns. We both got beards, right? Now, blending this and going even deeper into it, the dwarves made all the mythical weapons for the Viking gods. So Gungnir, Odin's spear, Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. So they're the ones that created the stuff. So I just got me a dwarf, and now we go hammer hammer stuff out.
Okay.
I like that. I like
Like
that.
you thought everything through.
So from the name, from my signature, I use moves and I try to name it. Like I was even going into I was trying to do a storyline where each one of my wrestlers in League of Lions was a Norse god, and I would treat them as such. And I'm wrestling with these gods, and everybody had a different name, and it all applied. But they squashed that because they had other stuff going on. But I try to plan it out. Like I said, the weight is 14 stone. The only people that understand that are overseas.
Right.
Yeah, because I have no idea how much that is.
Like I remember, like
200 pounds.
Okay.
Nikita Koloff. Nikita Koloff would get introduced like that. His weight would be like 200 kilos or something like that. I don't know how much that is.
I'm also 2.5 shields tall. How tall is that? But if you stack up my shield that I'm carrying, I'd be about 2.5 shields tall.
Okay.
There you go.
You have no idea how big I am, because now I'm in the ring. I've got my boots on. I've got my gear. I'm up. So now I could be that 300-pound that they promoted me one time, but I kind of freaked out and was like, where?
Right. Anybody got a bodysuit I can wear?
But 300-pound for the heavyweight, I understand what they were doing, but I was not heavyweight at that time.
Nice. I like that whole gimmick idea and everything about the dwarf stuff.
Very well thought out.
Yes, very well thought. Another thing I was going to say too, you were talking about how the Death Valley thing fit the Undertaker's gimmick and everything. Another one that I always liked that always stuck out to me was whenever they would introduce Cactus Jack from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico.
Yep.
I'm like, that's great. That is great. How that a guy named Cactus Jack from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. That's you can sell the gimmick without having to do very much. Just in the name and the way, like you said, with the stones and the shields and stuff. It's
we come out with beards, we come out with hammers, we come out with our furs and armor. We had a street fight a couple weeks ago, and he came out in chainmail. I came out with leather armor and fur and everything, and they were like, "We're here for a street fight, y'all. What are y'all wearing armor for?" And we're like, "We're here to fight. What's up?"
Right.
Yeah. That's what we're on the street.
This is how Viking and a dwarf would fight, man. So what do you want from us? That is absolutely great.
Are you a heel or a baby face?
Yes.
Both? Because I've seen you as a heel. I think you pushed some guy down from a walker or something. I was like, oh, okay.
Depending on where you go,
the internet is always there.
What I say is cult. Undertaker, it didn't matter if he was face or heel. Stone Cold, didn't matter if he was face or heel. It was gimmicks over. Now, you talking about the guy in the walker.
Yeah.
That's Coach. That's Coach. So it was planned. It was not just some fan. Like, okay. He was on the podcast as soon as it was broadcast, just so I could show. Look, no hard. Look, he made me do it. He made me do it.
Oh, that is absolutely great. He said, "Because I saw you push a guy with a walker, and
I was like, oh God, okay, yeah."
The things we do for the art.
I've also fought midgets.
I mean, hey,
lots of midgets. Not just one show. I've wrestled several midget shows.
Okay. I mean, hey,
I get beat up a lot.
There is a lady that I work with, and I won't say her name, but I was telling her about how we were starting a podcast just before we started it and stuff, and how we were doing it. She was asking what the podcast was about and everything. So I was telling her about pro wrestling and stuff. And she said, she looked at me and she was like, "Are you going to be doing anything on midget wrestling?" I love midget wrestling. She's like, "If you know where any midget wrestling is, please let me know," and everything. No sooner than she said that, like a couple of days later, I got to work and like on my phone on Facebook, I seen an advertisement for midget wrestling up in Lexington, Kentucky. So I was like, "Hey, check this out. You might want to go. It's right up your alley."
Most of everything I was is, hey, this will be funny. You should do this. Okay. So got a guy, a coworker, and he's telling me, hey, there's midget wrestling down the road. You should see if you can get into a show. So I was like, all right, bet. I was taught bring your gear, right? So I brought my gear to work, worked the whole day, drove to the arena and was like, hey guys, just a quick question. I'm a trained wrestler. Can you give me a 5-minute opener for your show? If you don't like my idea, I'm still buying a ticket. But if you like my idea, I will wrestle for you for free. No booking. Just take video for it. And they were like, you want us to beat you up and you don't want to get paid for it? And I was like, absolutely. And they were like, oh, we got a spot for you. So I walk in and I start with, I don't know what little show this is or who you think you are. You've got half the talent I do. I'm not cutting you short, all the jokes. And then they come out, they beat me up and run me off. Great way to start a show. The next year they show back up in town. Well, this time I'm a champion, so I get to show up and I've got a little more pep in my step. Yeah. I'm the champion of this town. This is my town. I get beat up by even more midgets. So it's
I could just imagine like just sitting there and talking all kinds of smack, and then next thing you know, like 10, 15 midgets just hit the ring and start whooping somebody's ass.
That's what I've wanted. That's what I've wanted. It's been kind of different. I got into Royal Rumble and was the first one out. So obviously, Sam Morello. So, but I end up with baby handprints, toddler handprints all over my chest. It looks like I've been assaulted by daycare, and it's just, and what do you do, man? And I'm like, oh, I got beat up by a bunch of midgets, and nobody wants to hear this story.
Probably don't believe you. Honestly, they're like, nah, man, quit playing with me. Nah. What do you mean I got beat up by a gang of midgets?
Who starts a story with so? There was this gang of midgets, man.
No lie, I did that. We were driving in a truck, at work, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I got beat up by a bunch of midgets in that bar. And everybody's like, what?
How did that happen? Well, there was a lot of tequila, a wrestling ring, and
stone sober. I do it for fun.
I did it on purpose, guys. It's how I train.
One of the best ones, though. I've got my hammer and I stuck it in the ground in the ring, and then all the wrestlers from the trimmers. So they were playing into me being bigger than them and being more, with the hammer. And then all of a sudden it was a low blow and then finisher after finisher after finisher after finisher. Yeah.
You talk about feeding, man. Man, you talk about you must have very good cardio.
It depends on how bad I'm leaking. Last year I had I'd know definitely 9 major injuries.
Oh wow.
And that includes being crushed by a 400-pound man, sent to the ER. I've nearly bled out from a trash can lid. I nearly lost an eye a couple months ago. Yeah, so Warhammer is a tough man.
Obviously, I mean,
yeah.
I suffer so much, but Warhammer, that dude scares me.
Well, Warhammer, just to let you know, we've got Superfly Johnny Lee, who is part of the Nice Guy Andy podcast here in Kentucky. He's watching, and Veronica Sloan, who is part of the Sloan's podcast network. They have like 4 or 5 different shows that they do. They're out of Illinois. She's watching and everything too. Just to let you know and everything. So, there's a couple people you might be able to reach out to. I know definitely that Superfly and them wouldn't mind having you on and everything. And I'm sure
absolutely
the Sloans would love to have you on. I don't want to speak for them, but
absolutely.
They're good
I'm
people, good hosts, good shows.
I've been to Illinois one time.
There you go.
Went to Chicago as a child, but that was it.
If I've ever been, I don't ever remember, and I can't think of anything that I would want to go to Illinois for.
My mother had to go to a family funeral, so the family drove up there. I don't remember anything. We drove straight back, so we were in a car.
Understandable. So let me ask you this: if you, let's see, how do I put this? Uncle Slim, you got any questions for him while I try to figure out how to
yeah. So obviously, we talk about the midget match or whatever, but is that your favorite match or like, do you have a favorite match like besides that one?
I mean, I've definitely done some fun stuff. I've wrestled Santa Claus as an elf.
Okay.
Like I said, I've wrestled several different midget groups. Those were always fun. I ended up doing a drinking contest with another wrestler, Rob Boris.
Wait a minute. Were they groups or were they gangs? Because a minute ago they were gangs.
There was enough of them. They could have been a gang. There was just so many. There's just so many of them. That in my Facebook feed, if you scroll down far enough, you can actually see 3 videos of me wrestling midgets, but one of them you have to go quite a ways down in the scroll. But favorite, like I said, I've done another dance competition with a buddy, Maui Mike. He's a quarter ton of fun. So it's different things,
Okay.
Certain things stand out for different reasons,
All right, cool.
It sounds like you just try to keep your experiences open. That it's not that anything stands out more than the other. It's just that I'm going to enjoy whatever I'm doing while I'm doing it.
That's it. Enjoy every moment.
And that's it, because a lot of people don't even get the chance to get in there and do that.
And we were kind of talking about this earlier. It's a short version of a film. I've got 10 minutes, if that, to suspend your beliefs. Now, I need that just as much as you do. So wrestling is my break. So me being Warhammer, Andy shuts off. Warhammer takes over. And Warhammer doesn't have bills. Warhammer doesn't have breakups. Warhammer doesn't have job worries. Warhammer doesn't have truck troubles or van troubles. Warhammer lives from curtain to curtain. Just like all the fans, they've forgotten their bills. They've forgotten their mama troubles, their husband troubles, whatever it is, because they're watching their favorite wrestler for 10 minutes, their favorite actor for 10 minutes. Boom. That is what I get behind every show.
Okay. I mean, and that's it. And I never thought about it. Like you were saying, it's not just a suspension of disbelief for us. It's for you all too, because, it's not just the fans, that have, the daily troubles and the bills and all that stuff. that, we get to turn off for a couple hours and just sit and enjoy some wrestling. You guys get to turn that off too for, 10 minutes at a time, or however long you get to sit back there, even in the back, and just be in your world. You know what I mean? It's no, excuse me, to me, it's no different than, it's just on a grander scale, but it's no different than people who get together and play Dungeons and Dragons together.
Which
Or
I
who,
also
get, or who get together and, just sit around and play board games together, or, whatever the case may be. Groups of people who just get together and, you do whatever to just get away from it all from it.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, to prove that, I went through a bad divorce a couple of years ago. And at that time, I was struggling to find a place to live. COVID had just released, so nobody was open, you understand? But I had to leave. So I had to find everything in this new world. I remember going to the show saying, I don't know if Warhammer's even going to make it to the building. I need you guys to bring me up. And I had one of the hardest hitting matches that night. I don't really remember it because Warhammer, all of it. But I told my brothers, I need you to bring me out of this. And they were like, bet, I got you. We're going to go and we're just going to, and it was punches, punches, punches. That's all I remember. But that's what I needed from them. And I guarantee you that translated into the show because they were like, these guys mean this. They are angry at each other. No, this was out of love. We hit each other out of love.
Right. It's the people who don't know the business, and they don't understand, the sentiments, of don't, like just the other day, it's just crazy stuff. Like the other day, I did not know. And I don't want to give away too much because, again, just like, we talk about it all the time, just like the Undertaker, Mark Calloway, I don't like giving up all the secrets of wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go to, just like you said, if you go to a magician and you know what how the magician's doing all the stuff, then it just kind of kills what you're doing. Why would you even pay for the ticket? But, like, I won't say what it is, but I didn't know there were handshakes. Like, I heard about handshakes and I was like, yeah, wink. And I was like, what? I was like, what are we talking about here? So I had to go and ask a few people. I'm like, what is this? It's crazy.
Getting the handshake from a giant man and you're going, please don't break me. And then you just get the handshake and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so scared now. If you're gentle with me right now, I don't want to see you angry. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm going to apologize right now.
Let me go ahead and just clear my name of any wrongdoings. I did not mean anything that happened. So how long have you been wrestling?
So I started training in 2018. I've been in a couple Royal Rumbles before that, but I didn't really have an official singles debut until it was right after COVID release, so 2020.
Okay. So you're not even 10 years in the business, roughly.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, I gave myself a 10-year span. I was going to run from 35 to 45. We are encroaching on that 45, so we are kind of, going to reassess the body. But, I'm going to push for another couple of years, yes.
I was going to say, trust me, I understand. I just turned 48, and I ain't even stepped foot in the ring. Well, I take it back. I've stepped foot in the ring, but I've never took the first bump. And, yeah, I don't want to.
So in training, it took a while because I hurt myself on bumps. I hurt myself on the ropes. I hurt myself on right-handed quarter rolls. I hurt myself on left-handed quarter rolls. I hurt myself on tiger rolls. So it was all these new moves that I was doing, I kept hurting myself, and I thought I was doing something bad. And then they kept saying, you're not so much hurting yourself by doing them wrong. You've never done them before in your life. So It was a rough process of getting everything used to working like that. And then it's, you can't take a jalopy and start racing with it. It just doesn't work out.
Conditioning. You got to condition your body to learn how to do it and everything. I don't. It's crazy because I'm trying to think about how to say this, but like I was sitting there and my perception, I guess, as a kid growing up and everything was always, what is a wrestling ring? Is it just a trampoline? Is it, what is it? Blah, blah, blah.
I always wondered.
Right. Well, a few months ago, the owner of the company that we go to once a month and everything, Elite Wrestling Alliance, I was sitting there talking to him one day about, because I would like to eventually start training to be a manager. I think here and there I could take a bump, enough for a management position. I'm 48. I cannot get in there and try to train to be a wrestler. But I told him, right?
Because I'm not going to.
I'm trying to talk Uncle Slam into training to be a referee.
I got a lot of respect, but I know my limits, and my old body cannot handle that. Like I said,
see, that's my problem. Is I don't know my limits until I reach it, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I got to stop doing that. But I looked at him and I said, I'd love just to get in a ring. I said it'd be a dream of mine just to step foot in a ring. He looked at me and he said, "You've never been in a ring?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, go get in the damn ring." I said, "Are you serious?" So, I got up there, but just feeling it under my feet.
One time.
Right. I could feel the I guess the bounciness of it. But
it has a spring. It has a reflex.
Yes, but then whenever so it was like, but it was like, this is not as padded as I figured it would be. And then
I always thought it was trampoline-like. I always thought it was soft cushion.
Everybody does.
And then when you see them start to take it apart and deconstruct the ring, and you just see the boards, in like a little bit of pad like that or something, you're like, wow, that's what that, it makes you second guess everything. And it's like, the punishment a person's body goes through,
So every bump is the equivalent to a 35-mile-an-hour car crash.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, I'm like, imagine, just flat backing on your kitchen floor. Only the fact that it's a plywood instead of, what 4x2s or whatever. So I'm like,
wrestling has saved my life. Learning how to fall.
Right.
So I was landscaping at the time, working with a company, and I was up on an embankment because the road kind of went like that. So I'm up on this embankment and I'm just going down the stretch, but I have to pull the mower. And I don't know what happened. I tripped over the curb, fell 8 feet, took a bump, sat up. Someone runs out the restaurant. "Hey, man, are you okay?" And I'm just sitting there laughing like, "Man, that sucks. I'm going to feel that in the morning." Dude just gets up and he's like, "I don't know what I just saw."
I figure if nothing else, me training to be a manager and learning how to bump will only help me when I become a senior citizen. It can only help, tuck and roll, buddy, tuck and roll. Because
I've done this before.
Right. I'm 48. My balance ain't the greatest as it is. I stand up and lean over a little too far or something, so I figure if I can learn how to tuck and roll or just flat back, I'll be good. No, good stuff. Good stuff. So tell me this: how much, like, of course, like you said earlier, the South and Texas wrestling and everything is you're there, so I guess and I know you're kind of biased by being in the business there, but does Texas wrestling still have that mystique that it did back in like the 80s with like the Von Erichs and WCCW and all that stuff?
I'm gonna say yes. It's not changed, and those names are haunting arenas today. Like it's, hey man, have you ever worked in a Von Erich? Have you ever worked any, some of these other guys?
Mhm.
No, I never have. I wish I could. I would love to work any celebrity. I've never worked any celebrity. So, but these names are thrown around so common in our areas. The families of are around these areas. So that's how we're able to say, oh, they're a local in this town. So, so we're going to say thank you to them and the other Von Erichs, stuff like that. The Warrior Wrestling Alliance is linked up with, I believe it's Kevin Rhodes. One of the Rhodeses from Dusty,
Okay.
and Cody. So is associated with that family, is part of that family, and is part of Warrior Wrestling Alliance, and they're working on another company down in Houston. So these names still get thrown around.
Do you think wrestling in Texas is different than wrestling in other states, or that they kind of have their own little maybe style or whatever compared to like if you went to Georgia or Kentucky or say out west or something?
And kind of bridging from his question, absolutely. Texas strong style, that you don't find strong style or anything else. You'll kind of find a more extreme wrestling, but
Okay.
the strong style is more like Japanese wrestling. So the Japanese strong style, where if it looks like it was real and sounded real, this is probably real.
Okay.
So that's how I work. Every slap, every chop, every punch, every strike, kick, it sounds real because it is. It makes me look big. It makes you look big.
True. I mean, and there's a way to actually punch somebody and connect and not actually do any damage and let them, sell it like you've done the most damage anybody could ever do to somebody.
I'll never touch you. I'll never touch you.
Right.
I end up hitting my own hand, so I will end up with bruises all over here from me punching my hand, or I'll headbutt myself before I touch you.
Like I remember
myself on safety.
I remember seeing a story about when Ric Flair was training, that he hung up a string in the doorway, and every time he would walk by that string, he would punch it until that string didn't move. But even though he was still making contact with it.
I don't like face shots, so I will always hit the hand. Now the body, it's just a smack. It's the way I turn my hand and I'm backhanding you at the same time. So
that's
it. But it sounds like I punched you. It might even have a knuckle mark, so it looks like I punched you. You felt it just enough to sell.
And that's what it is. That you got to feed them enough so that their selling doesn't look cheap or generic to what you're throwing at them. And
I gotta feel it. I gotta feel it, or I won't sell it.
Yes. And I think, honestly, truthfully, now that we've talked about that, I've always tried to find a way to explain it. But I think that was part of the problem with, like, we've discussed this on several shows of ours about how much progress like the women's wrestling has come from even the days of like Trish and them. I mean, I love Trish. Yes, I love Trish. I love Lita. I love some of them other people from that day. But the wrestling was just a slight bit off.
Wrestling was second to whatever the show they were trying to perform, and it wasn't that they were performing it; they were forced to perform this match.
Yes.
That's the bra and panties or the Jello wrestling or whatever. Horrible evening gown, whatever they were forced to do. They were never really trying to get them to wrestle. Just look pretty for 8 minutes, sell some stuff.
Well, and that's the thing is people don't think about that. Yes, you're taught how to sell. Yes, you're taught how to do things, but you're also taught how to feed. You're also taught how to give that other person and not rush it, not slow it up too much, to feed just right with the right amount of timing. Yes. And that's it. It's ring timing. Your ring timing has got to be right. And we've discussed that. And that was the problem with the females wrestling back then is, like you said, whatever show they were performing was primary to the wrestling being secondary. So since the wrestling's secondary, we'll take you in the back here in this room for 10 minutes and show you how we want the match to go down. And then y'all go out there and just do it. There was no actual real training to get these people ready to be the Charlotte Flairs, the ones that are in there. Because, man, these women.
Becky Lynch's and people like that.
Yes.
And all this really started with China breaking that. China broke that mold when
I was getting ready to ask that. I was going to say, like, what do you think that everything transitioned from them just looking pretty to actually being athletes in the ring or whatever?
She did both. When she came in, she was not attractive. At the end, she was more attractive.
Yeah,
There's
definitely
a lot of money invested in her look at that point. So, but she was able to do both.
So let me ask you this. What do you think is I don't want to say the best because there was great things in all these different eras. What to you is your personal favorite era of wrestling?
So I grew up on the 80s wrestling, so that's what was always on reruns. But once I was a teen, that's when WCW and Raw, the Monday Night Wars. So you had WCW, which was very cruiserweight driven, right? They had some big stars, they had some smaller stars, but it was cruiserweight. The thing that Raw was lacking. Raw had its huge stars, its mega stars, but they were all 300-pound behemoths.
Yeah.
WCW was about the luchas and the cruiserweights. So that to me, I didn't follow either program. I would follow the wrestler. So I knew who was wrestling at what time. So I would be flipping over. And
that was me. I go from match to match. It just depended on what was going on. I'd switch over. Okay, so and so's wrestling here. So and so's here. Okay, I'm gonna watch this match. Once they're done, who's next? Okay, well this is better over here. Let me switch over here.
A true fan, as opposed to someone trying to pick a side. I wanted to watch for the sport, and that's why I wrestle midgets. That's why I wrestle whatever gimmicks, the Santa Claus and other things. It's because I just want to wrestle. I want to perform. I want to make people laugh. I want to make people upset. Like when you asked, I tossed Coach out of his walker.
Yeah.
I couldn't leave the locker room. He had to make several phone calls to tell people to leave the parking lot.
Just tell him go home.
Who is this new guy? Why did he come into the show? I got something for him. Have him step out.
Yeah.
Step out.
You were talking about flipping back and forth between channels. So I got tired of doing that. So I decided that I figured out a basic working knowledge of cable TV, and I had a smaller 27-inch TV sitting below my regular size TV. So I just got a cable splitter and split the signal and sent the signal to both TVs and put one TV on one TV on the other, and whatever was the big thing that was happening. See, the cool thing about it was the TVs were, I had the same name brand TV. I remember it was a Sanyo TV. It was the big brand that Walmart sold, Sanyo. I had two of them, same brand. So the code I had on my universal remote, I knew would work with both. So I just hit, if something big was happening on the bottom screen, I just hit the channels or the flips button, and it would switch them both to the other show. And I just put what was important on the top screen.
That's all we watch is wrestling.
That's
it doesn't
it.
matter what channel.
Super fandom right there, man. That's all it was super fandom. I told a buddy of ours, the Adrian Alexander fellow I was telling you about, the gentleman that owns AEW. I told him when we first met him, I said, I've always considered myself a really good worker. I said, I've never been trained, but, me and my stepbrother, we had all kinds of matches in my living room, and he's still got working movement in all his appendages and everything, no numbness or nothing like that. So
he only broke his arm twice.
Right. I mean, I consider myself a safe worker. Worst that ever happened was a broken nose, and I got it.
So, like I was talking about, film, pictures, getting kicked in the face. I've had my nose broken twice in the ring by the same gentleman.
It ain't fun because, you can hear how much I talk through my nose now. Lord God, it's terrible.
If I don't pay attention to it, you may hear me breathing. I can collapse. I have a collapsed nostril. I can.
Yeah. I'm the same way.
New intake thing that everybody's talking about. Yeah, I stay on the level 4. I never even used a different one. So
yeah, deviated septum. That was like 20 years ago. I don't know what you call this. This would be like the course correction of a curve or something here. I don't know.
It was under construction. They gave up on that construction. They're in planning for a new one. We don't know when it's going to be out.
Exactly. Zoning permits have not been approved.
There's something to do with a snowy owl up and like the EPA's up in there. Like you don't even want to know. So like it's something to do with nesting areas and like so we have to rezone everything.
Right. And you got to get the permits, especially for the white owls. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know of anything else. Any other questions I have? You got any questions for us?
Yeah, I got a couple real quick. So, I know you said you had a wife at one point. Like, how do you balance your wrestling and traveling with, say, just having a home life or having a family or whatever? Like, is it a struggle? I mean, like, do you have to choose one or the other? Like, is one more a priority? Is it?
I mean, they both take work. So work life, home life, both of them, everything's work, right? Mm-hmm. So it is very difficult. I've missed my daughter's birthdays because I've had to go wrestling. So I was there for a little bit, but I could not attend the party. But it's still, I don't get much time with my daughter. So I try to not have these situations happen. But when they do, it sucks. So, yes, the ex constantly was telling me that I'm spending too much time, energy, money away from the house. So, she didn't really support this dream, but that's not what caused the divorce, but it didn't help for sure.
Okay.
I don't know personally, but just from the stories I've heard, I can see and understand why life on the road and stuff like that can definitely put the strain on everything. I mean, and it's nice to see, like we were talking about in the recap show. It's nice to see when marriages can survive the business, like AJ Styles and his wife, where she wrote that letter to him. And, I don't know if you've seen it. If you didn't, look it up. It's really sweet, heart-touching letter, She tells him at the end of it to come home. She said the phenomenal times are just beginning. I was like, that's really cool because that shows that she really did support his dream. She supported everything. And I'm not, throwing any hate out at anybody, I don't mean any bad towards your ex or anything like that.
No.
I'm just saying that because some people can, support it and live that life. Some people can't, and you don't know until you get into it. And the sad thing about it is sometimes it doesn't survive. It doesn't mean that there's bad feelings or anything. It's just not what each other wants. I mean, and it's a rough business to try to, but I akin it to the same as being like a movie star or being like a singer or anything like that. There's a life there that you're gonna have to be away from home.
And I mean, to touch on that, I've had some serious situations in my life where things happen. So for me now to have become a professional wrestler was a childhood dream. I'm already living on borrowed time. So if I don't do it now, it's going to be a life of regret. So I chose to better myself. I dropped weight. I lost over 60 pounds to do this. Like I've successfully kept it off since then. Like I've changed my life to do wrestling, and it was now or never. So I understand she didn't really support it, and that's part of it, but she couldn't understand that factor of it.
Right.
I had to do this. I've already put myself in situations where I should not have survived, barely survived, had to already rebuild my body too many times. So I shouldn't be wrestling now, but it's one of those, I've always wanted this. I could not walk away from this one opportunity. I don't want to be in WWE. I've never wanted to be in AEW or TNA or any of these other ones. I'm fine being a small town local hero because my daughter's got a poster of me on her wall. She's got a t-shirt with my name on it and my face. Tell me what more a dad can do.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
That's exactly it. And I totally understand your sentiment because like my daughter, she jokes around with me all the time. But the thing of it is I don't think she's actually joking. But she tells me all the time, she's like, Dad, she's like, she goes to school, tells her friends and everything. I got a dad does a podcast. My dad's famous. He's on YouTube. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, I wish that fame was a little more fortune telling and everything. But she tells me all the time. She's like, just to let you know, when you retire, I'm taking over your podcast. I'm like, well, you got to clear that up. What if Josh don't retire by that time? She's like,
we probably will. Like, hopefully, my kids will like the podcast by then, and then one of them might take it over.
It's right. The second generation,
right? But she's
just like in wrestling. There's the bloodline. You got your bloodline starting right here.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
exactly foundation.
And that's.
Go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say it's a thing. You got to start somewhere.
Like what I was gonna ask was, like you've been in wrestling for a while or whatever. What's something that like you would tell your younger self that like you didn't know till you were older, like if you were just getting into wrestling, like something that that you've learned over time?
How much it actually hurts.
I like that.
So, like, all I can say is I took a trash can lid to the skull, and I've got 2 scars right here, nearly bled out. Couldn't stop the bleeding. Like, I threw my own X. Every time I went like that, it was just... So, Crimson Mask, this is my first ever, the only plan ever. Like, I don't gig. I don't want to bleed. I don't want to put anybody in danger. Not that I, have anything or anything, but I don't want to portray that. I'll leave that to the professionals. They want to blade. They want to do that on TV. To me, that's not wrestling. That's more storytelling. I'm not doing that. So everything has been the hard way on accident. Okay. It was an elbow to the eye socket. Just happened to elbow bone to the orbital bone. A little bit. That's all it took. All these accidents are just their mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But like when someone's trying to kick your shoulder and they kick you in the nose, like, you know, I don't know how you can miss, but it happens.
Yeah.
So it is real and it's painful.
The joys, the absolute joys. But that's it. It is a joy too. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's an absolute, especially if you have actual love for the business and love.
I'm willing to get my ass kicked for your entertainment.
Right. Especially by midgets.
By a bunch of midgets. Now, what's great is after I got kicked out of their wrestling ring, I fell into the, you know, I'm at my parents' feet. Like I get dumped out right in front of my parents. So they've got my shirt on and everything, but nobody in the crowd knows this. My dad's holding a cane, you know, because he walks on a cane. He's just sitting in his chair holding the cane. Well, I walk by him and I just knock the cane out of his hand. Just like the guy with the walker. Oh man, now I don't like old people. Oh boo, boo! You don't like old people. Boo, boo. Just it's split second. I thought that would. Oh, that's going to be so much heat. It's my dad.
Hey.
I never would have done that to anybody else, but he's right there. He knows the show. He knows what wrestling is. Knock the cane out of his hand. Oh, now he's feeble. He's playing into it now. You know, he's not that hurt. Come on, man.
See, and that works so much better too on an indie circuit too, because you know it's not mainstream all over TV, so nobody knows that that's your dad. For all they know, that's just an elderly man that stood up and got mad and smacked you.
And honestly, I don't look like my father. My father has black hair and he's kind of he's more of a tan complexion. My mother has blonde hair. I look exactly like my mother minus the beard. So you could, if you saw us together, you'd see, you know, the resemblance, but just seeing in the crowd and I just walk by and smack a cane. No,
right.
Random crowd interaction and boo. And that's exactly what I used Coach for that same thing, just to establish that I was a heel for this one show. That's it. And Coach got his payback on that same show. So like, that's what I love about wrestling. There's always a receipt. So Coach got his receipt. My father didn't get one, but one of the guys, one of the midgets grabbed his cane and started hitting the other midgets with it. So he became part of the show with his cane. They took my nephew's phone and took it in the ring and was a first person wrestler with his phone. It's amazing how fluid things can be after just some spark of inspiration. Oh, they took it and ran with it and I'm running to the back, but everybody's now focused on them. And that's all I had to do. Spend just a couple seconds setting scenes, setting the stage, and I'm out. Now I'm watching the show. I'm just stirring the pot. Oh, that's cool.
Right? Professional wrestling, the shit-stirring sport.
Picking fights. That's what I do.
That's what it's all about. You know, if people weren't picking fights in wrestling, then there wouldn't be nothing going on in that squared circle.
You wouldn't have a reason to watch because what are they going to do? Draw cartoons, play charades. That's not it.
Exactly. Well, Warhammer, we appreciate you coming on. I don't have anything else for you. You got anything for him?
No, I'm tapped out.
Like I said, I appreciate you coming on. Everybody go check him out on Facebook, Warhammer. I will let him do some plugs and everything here before we get out of here, and take it away, sir.
Okay. So you can find me on all major platforms. On YouTube, we are Sons of Plunder. That's where I'm posting most of my podcast. I run a podcast, Dropping the Hammer. But Warhammer on Facebook, Sons of Plunder, and I believe it's Warhammer. I'm not sure what the other Warhammer YouTube, but I'm Warhammer LOL on TikTok. I am Odin Son War on Instagram. I am Warhammer Odin Son on Rumble. That's where I host all of my podcasting. So I've now switched over and gotten off of Facebook and put everything onto Rumble. So that's where I'm at most of the time.
All right. You got any upcoming shows or anything you want to plug?
Actually do. February 21st, Exist to Inspire's debut show, The Vision. It will be in Silsbee, Texas, which is Southeast Texas, one of my favorite places to go. Like I said, current tag team wrestling champ out of Southeast Silsbee, Texas, but this is Exist to Inspire, using a lot of the same talent from Northeast, Southeast, a little bit of West Texas. So they're pulling a lot of talent, even from Louisiana, for this show. So there's going to be a 25-man battle royal at the end. It's going to be a banger show.
Sounds good. Y'all better watch out too, because y'all have them West Texas rednecks showing up and everything. No, like I said, we do appreciate you coming on, man. We appreciate the conversation. Appreciate you letting us, pick your brain a little bit about Texas wrestling and everything. And I appreciate the fact that we've got people from Texas that are willing to come on the show. And if you ever need any guests or anything, let us know. We'll try to come on and we'll talk some more wrestling and everything. Do what we can do, try to collaborate a little bit and everything, help each other out. It's what it's all about.
That's what I say about my podcast. You said something earlier about not throwing any shade or hate. That's me. I don't anytime I talk negatively, it's always about my work and Warhammer's, what he did in the ring and how he performed. I never bury a wrestler. I never trash my opponents. Even when I disagree with the promotion, I can call a disagreement with the decision, but I never bash a promotion. Like, I am not about negativity at all. It is about building a community with everybody. I'm going on a journey. I want you to come along with me. I can't get better without other better people making me better. So the more better people we got, the better we all get.
That's it. I agree 100%. If I got to come on my show and trash other people, then my show's not what it's supposed to be about.
Exactly.
That's it.
The only time I talked really negative, it was more about the situation, but that was the Raj Psycho Sid situation, Psycho Stu situation. And I talked negatively.
Well, I was going to say, if you wanted to get on your show and do a little negative talk about snow and ice and minivans, I don't think your minivan would clap back at you or anything. It really doesn't have any room to talk.
Right.
No, all jokes aside, I do hope you get that situation rectified soon and everything, get everything fixed and everything.
Oh, I'm back on the road. New vehicle.
Good,
That's awesome. That's awesome. Good to hear. Well, guys, we appreciate y'all tuning in. Again, we had Warhammer on tonight. Go check out everywhere he told you to check out. Check him out on Facebook. Check out all the promotions he's with and everything. We appreciate you being here, sir. You'll have to come back anytime you want to, and anytime you want us on, let us know. We'll try to get something scheduled. And other than that, I think the referees hit that 3 count, so we're going to ring that damn bell.